Hi guys, my name is Alicia, if you don't already know me. And today, while I am cooking dinner for my giant family of 6, I just wanted to take a few minutes and talk about some life insurance. So I am a licensed agent, and I have people who ask me a lot of questions when it comes to things like group insurance, specifically insurance that they have through their job. So I wanted to touch a little bit on what that looks like while I am making jalapeno popper chicken for my family. So the first thing that I kind of want to touch on when it comes to group insurance, guys, is that it's great to have group insurance through your job. Typically, it's very, very, very cheap. But experts actually recommend that you only have 20% of your life insurance through your job. And there's 3 main reasons for this, which while I'm explaining this to you, I'm actually taking my chicken breasts and I'm cutting them into like thin little cutlets. But the 3 reasons why you only want to have about 20% of your life insurance through your job specifically, number 1 is that you don't own that. It's not yours, it doesn't belong to you, and you actually don't even get a copy of the policy. You just get like what's called a benefit sheet that lets you know what you have, but there's no real contract that you ever get, and that's because your job owns that, not you. Which means that they actually have the ability to switch companies in the middle of you working there if you want to. They have the ability to decide that they can no longer afford to insure everybody that they work with, so they can cut those benefits off. In today's economy, we're seeing that a lot. The second reason why you want to have 80% of your life insurance outside of your job is really just because it's never enough. Typically with your job, you have about 1 to 2 times your annual income for your life insurance, but experts actually recommend 10 to 12 times, especially if you want to make sure that your life insurance creates a check for your family every single month, as if you were still there to take care of those bills, any debt, anything like that. And then the third major reason why you want to have most of your life insurance, right, 80% of it outside of your job, is specifically because you have to be on active payroll. Now, what that means, right, if you're on a leave of absence, medical leave, maternity leave, things like those are not considered active payroll. And so if something happens to you while you're on that leave, your job is not required to pay out. So those are the first couple of points. I'm going to start building this up a second, and then we're going to come back and touch base on specifically SGLI and VGLI. Since we're in Fayetteville, that's a lot of what I'm seeing right now. So I'm going to season this chicken and get some stuff on it, and then we'll be back. All right, guys, so all I did here with my chicken was just season it a little bit with some salt and pepper, some seasoned salt, garlic powder, you know, whatever you want to season your chicken with. We like seasoning in my house. And then I took some whipped cream cheese spread. Whipped is easier to spread. I just kind of spread that on the top of the chicken, sprinkled it with some diced jalapenos, some bacon bits, and then some cheddar cheese. So it looks, looks a little something like this. And now we are going to put that on a greased cookie sheet and pop that in the oven for 35 minutes at about 350 degrees. right, now we're gonna clean up our mess before we move on to the next step, which is homemade mashed potatoes. We got the hubby over there. He doesn't want me to put him on camera. He's over there peeling my potatoes for me so that we can get those on the stove. Hubby was taking a little too long, so we're gonna do it ourselves. So while I am peeling these potatoes, let's talk about, I wanna talk about SGLI and VGLI specifically, because we have a lot of military in our town, and there's just a lot of misconceptions about those two specific policies or types of policies. Now, what I will say is that SGLI is an amazing program while you are enlisted. So 100%, it's going to pay out. There aren't a lot of questions asked whenever a soldier passes away and they're considered active duty. They really just pay out. And that's fantastic. And it really covers not only the soldier, but it covers the family as well. But what happens is when a soldier retires or they get out or something like that, they are offered what's called VGLI, Veterans Group Life Insurance. And Veterans Group Life Insurance just really isn't the best thing for any consumer. You know, life insurance, as you know, is based off of age and health. It typically, our men and women who serve, when they get out, especially if they retire, they are not in as great health as they were whenever they joined. They're typically older, somewhere in their 40s, which isn't a game breaker, right? But when we start having these health conditions because of the things that they put their bodies through, it really puts them in a position of either having to pay higher premiums because they are older and less healthy, or they're in a position where they actually can't get covered at all, you know, because of things that they have endured while they were, you know, overseas, or, you know, whatever the case may be. So again, that's why it's so important that even while you have SGLI and that great program, it's great to have something that you own outside of that, so that when that time comes, when you decide to retire or get out, you've got something already that's locked in at a low rate that isn't going to change. All right, I'm gonna go wash these potatoes off really quick and cut them up and put them in our pot with some water, and then we'll get them on the stove. So I took my potatoes, we cut them in half. I put water just enough to kind of cover the top of them. We're gonna put that on the stove on high. Don't ask me how long, because I don't really know. I just let them cook until my fork goes through them pretty easily. I am, however, going to add some salt to my water, a good amount of it, because, I don't know, we like seasoning in this house. We're gonna let that boil for a second, and then we'll come back in a few. All right, guys, so our potatoes have been cooking for some time now, about 10-15 minutes. It's got a little hot in the kitchen, so I threw my hair back, but now I'm just gonna take like a spotted spatula. I'm just gonna pull those potatoes out and put them into a giant bowl so that we can add our milk, our butter, our seasonings, all that fun stuff. And then we'll talk a little more about VGLI and what all it consists of while I am mashing these up. All right, now we got all of our potatoes out. We're gonna take our potato masher and just mash these suckers up really quick. I don't know if you're supposed to put the milk in first or the butter, but I put them in after I've mashed them up pretty well, just so it doesn't splash all over me. If that's not right, just let me know. But let's talk a little bit more about VGLI. So VGLI has a couple stipulations to it that just are not fantastic for the consumer. Oh, that's a lot of steam. So one, VGLI only covers the veteran, right? So once you get out of the military, though your SGLI covered your spouse and your children, VGLI will not. It will only cover the veteran. So now you're stuck where you're covered, but your family is not. which means that you have to go out and find coverage for them as well. Measure with your heart. That's what I do. And then also with VGLI, guys, it's a 5-year step up. So it's actually a term policy that every 5 years it gets more expensive. So initially it doesn't seem super expensive, 30, 40 bucks a month, no big deal. But once you get to a point where you're hitting that 45, 50 years old, that's whenever it starts to double, triple, quadruple in price, because every 5 years it's going up based on your new age. So it's better to have something in place that already is locked in at a price, because by the time you get 60, right, 65 years old, your VGLI is now going to cost you $300-400 a month. And let's just be honest, like, the economy today is terrible. We don't know if it's getting any better. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck, credit card to credit card. And we just don't have an extra $300 a month to have life insurance, right? We know that we need it. It's important. We don't want to leave our family in a bind if something tragically happens to us. But just the thought, I mean, that's a car payment, right? So again, that's why it's great to get something in place while you're young, while you're healthy, that is a locked in rate for whatever amount of time, 30 years, 35 years, however many years you choose to have that. So that way it's not constantly going up. And if the economy stays the way that it is, or maybe it gets worse, or whatever the case may be, it's something that your family can still afford, because the last thing that we want to do is leave our families unprotected in case something bad happens to them. All right, our chicken is going off, so I am going to pull that out and kind of show you guys what that looks like. And then we are going to season these potatoes. For me, we put salt, pepper, garlic powder, and some cheese in there because that's just what my family likes. You can season them however you want. We're gonna pull this chicken out really fast. Whew. Probably should have laid some tin foil down, but here's what we've got, guys. Chicken's nice and cooked. It's got all the things melted together. The cheese has got a nice little crisp to it. We like a little crisp to our cheese. If you don't like crisp to your cheese, maybe cook it about 5 minutes less. Just so it's got that ooey gooey melty if you like that, but we like it a little crispy here. All right, guys, well, while I'm wrapping this up, I just want to say a couple things just to kind of close this out. One, I hope this was somewhat educational for you. I learned a lot whenever I was in class, and just looking over policies and dissecting them for clients. And so, I just kind of want to share my knowledge so that everybody has the ability to make the best informed decision for their family. I also want to say, all of my current clients, I appreciate you guys so much. All of my future clients, I cannot wait to work with you. And I just really want to take a second to thank our military, veterans and active duty for what you are doing or have done for our country. My husband is military as well. And so, I really have a soft spot for those who are serving or have served our country. Other than that, we've got seasoned mashed potatoes, we've got chicken, and I'm going to throw a Caesar salad together, and we're done. We're going to eat. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks a lot for watching.